I was watching last week Rapunzel, the animation, the Princess Tale animation with my son. And he eventually just like drifted away and I don't know, he was watching other things. I, on the other hand, even though I have watched that movie several times before, I was hooked. I couldn't take my eyes away from it. I was really, really into the whole dynamic between Rapunzel and Mother Gothel, which is horrifying. It's abusive, it's toxic, is kind of a very narcissistic type of psychological trait that just screws people up. And the whole movie is about that very despicable relationship. And in a way, I think that that kind of enmeshment is analog to the relationship that Israel and the US have. So a little bit of a background here or of a backstory, just doing some research about that type of relationship between Rapunzel and Gothel, it ends up being what in psychology is called narcissistic enmeshment. And so that basically it's a very common psychological pattern where one individual is so involved into the other individual life. In this case, the abuser is so involved into the victim's life that the victim itself cannot tell the difference between her own boundaries, her own self, and the other self, the abuser. So it's kind of like the same thing. And in a way, I think that is what's going on in this very unusual relationship between the US and Israel, where the US has basically blurred all type of boundaries, and there is no clear limit as where do Israel interests really begin and where US interests really end. So the two things are kind of like merged together. Now, why this has happened, I have no idea. I mean, there are certainly different theories, right? And I honestly don't think there is only one thing that happened. There's probably, this is a relationship that has been going on for decades. So there's probably been a mix of different things. Absolutely blackmail. I'm sure there were some blackmail there. Not some blackmail, but some big blackmail going on. But beyond the blackmail and this kind of narrative that Israel is a strategic ally, there has to be something else, right, for this relationship to be so entrenched. And I happened to run into, I think he's a professor. His name is, okay, just give me 1 second because I'm going to get his name in the description box below. I know his name is John, but I can't remember his last name. But bottom line, he made an article in 2006 called The Israel Lobby. And obviously there was a lot of backlash because of this article. And it's him and Stephen White, I think it is. I need to double check names after this recording. But his claim is that there are a cluster of individuals and organizations that have very big influence in Washington. And so, these things have, this type of dynamics have evolved, and now we are at the point where we go to war for Israel, a war that, I don't know, I don't think to this date, to this Friday, March 13th, 2026, it's not too clear what was the cause of the United States getting in war with Iran. At least it's not too clear for me. Whatever, kind of wording or narrative they are using to excuse this type of offensive, it doesn't really merit the action. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that the United States has kind of like blended its own identity as a nation to collaborate, help, protect, assist a different state that's not even in the Western continent, it's in the Middle East. And the reason for that, it seems, is coming from this very strong lobby that Israel has built around. And this lobby is composed, as I said, by individuals and organizations. Some of these organizations are from Jew origin, and other ones are not. Other ones are evangelical Christians. They're also very loud and prominent, and with strong opinions about the place that Israel has to occupy in the world. So it's a very complicated topic, as I said, and it's even more complicated to try to understand what are the dynamics behind this enmeshment. What I will say is that it will require a rude awakening for the US to really open its eyes to the risk that they take in order to assist these foreign nation. I think it could have a very rude awakening with this war in particular. So we shall see. I thought it was interesting to just see how a powerful nation that sits in values about freedom is now being kind of driven or led by a very small nation that has different values than the ones that we have here in the Western Hemisphere. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. My name is Magda. I do these videos so I can learn how to articulate better in IRL, and if you want, you can go and check me out, check other topics out in the Substack link in the description box below. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a good evening.